Hey guys, welcome to another Churchly tutorial. We're in the widget section right now. We're talking about all of the available widgets. So far we've talked about text and buttons, containers and icons, and now we're going to jump into images. Images is next. So an image can be dropped into any container, any column, any position here on the page. Anywhere you can drop in content, you can drop in an image. So let's just do a new block here. We're gonna do just an empty block so you can see what it looks like. So it's just empty. And it's a single column by default. That is the default block, one column. Let's add a widget, image, drag it, drop it. Again, the blue line appears where it's gonna be laid out. So image settings, if you click out of this box right now, it's gonna delete your widget because you didn't add anything. So let's go back, grab image, drag it, drop it, click over here, image settings. We're going to click here to add an image. Again, we have folders created for backgrounds, images, and logos. Let's just jump into images and let's upload a new file that we grabbed at unsplash.com. This is a picture of somebody preaching. Let's pretend this is pastor preaching on Sunday morning. Again, look, this is a 3.3 megabyte image. It's very large, way larger than what you would want to use on a website. If you're uploading big stuff on a traditional website, it's going to load very slowly. But Churchly is taking care of that. When you add a very large image to your Churchly library here, your file manager, when you're adding an image, it compresses it on the back end and makes it load fast for mobile devices and desktop alike. So that's a really cool feature. Let's click it to select it. It's going to work for web. It's already compressed it to a much lower size. It's still going to look good, but it's going to load a lot quicker for people. So let's select it. Here is our image. By default, it's pretty small. It's the height of the column. Now, if you grab this bottom arrow here, you could drag it down, which makes the image larger. If you wanted to, you could click back into the image settings here and click stretch if needed. So that filled the area left and right. If you drag your box to the left, you'll see that the smaller, doesn't matter how small or whatever size this box is, that image is going to fill the size of this box, okay? Because we clicked on stretch if needed. So it's going to stretch the image proportionately, mind you, height and width-wise, to fill that box. If you want to maintain the size that you created the image, then you would click on uncheck that box, and it would keep it the exact size of the image you created. Let's align the image. We can align it to the center, or right, or left. I like it in the center. If you wanted to do something on the left, you could change the columns here to 2, and let's tell this to fill the area, to stretch. And then we can grab the bottom arrow again and make this as big as that column. Then you could come over here and add just some text like we've done before, drop it in. Now by default it's going to align at the top of the column, which is pretty cool. So you could say, meet our pastor. That's him. He's very anointed because he's wearing denim. Just kidding. So it's aligned at the top by default, but if you wanted to change that, you can click on column and you can align the content to the middle, which is going to move this text to align to the middle of no matter how big this image is, you can see your content on the right is going to align in the middle, which is pretty neat. So you can meet our pastor and then you could add a description about him and his family, how awesome they are. And then you could add a button that said email him with all of your questions and take up all of his time. I'm just kidding. So you could style the button like we've done before. We've already talked about buttons, so this is not new. That's why I'm kind of breezing through it. We can change the color, and let's change the border color, the radius. We've done padding. Let's make it a little smaller. It's not a huge thing. Let's change the text again to our header text. The spacing, we could, space it out a little bit. We can make it have a hover effect of grow. We could edit the link to an email, which could be pastor at realchurch.today. and we could change the text to email pastor. Okay, save the change. Let's go back. We can click on preview like we've done, and there's our image. There's our meet our pastor. There's our button that grows. So we already know how to do text and columns and content and buttons, and that's kind of the basics of images now. So you can do all kinds of really cool things with images. You can, in addition to, when you're in this image section, I would highly recommend adding an image description. This is for Google so that they can find this image when someone's searching. It's also for your website. When you choose to add a search button, you can add a search bar, and we'll go over that later at the top of your website. If someone's searching for content, it doesn't crawl the text of your page. The search feature crawls things like descriptions. Okay, so you can add an image description here and say, picture of pastor preaching. And now whenever someone searches pastor, then they'll find this image in the search results because you've added a description. Also, Google will find it. So here we can also add a shadow to our image if you wanted to, an outer shadow. We can make it kind of subtle, maybe not quite that subtle. Make it a little darker so you can see it a little better what we're doing. Vertical offset, see what we're doing now. You can make it a little blurry, which adds super subtle design. It's really modern technique to have a subtle shadow that is spread out like that. We're done. You can just click out of each one of these boxes, hit save, and let's preview it. And there's our subtle shadow. There's our text and our button, and that's kind of the basics of images. Images can be dropped in anywhere you can drop in any other text. So I hope that was helpful. If it wasn't and you still have questions, simply click on Need Some Help, and you can email us. We're pretty quick to email back, or if we're available for chat, it'll appear here, a chat option, and then you can search for answers to your questions here as well. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.